Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. XRP's been around for almost an entire decade at this point, and it continues to grow even after all of that time. The number of new accounts and transactions still increasing dramatically, and I want to highlight some of that in this video. And what got me thinking along these lines is I was reading an article from the Daily Hodl, it's this one on your screen here now, titled, "Here's how long it will take for Bitcoin to reach $500,000, according to Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci." And he said a number of things, some of it having to do generally with crypto, some of it specifically with Bitcoin, and it applies directly to, well, really the entire crypto asset class, and certainly XRP. And so after I read this, I thought, yes, I agree with a strong amount of what was worded in this article. And so I went ahead and looked up some data because it's been a little while since I looked up a couple of these metrics, and I just thought I'd share it with you because it's nothing but a positive message. And so if you buy what he's selling here, and in a general sense I actually do, so I'm looking forward to run through this article with you, XRP is genuinely being adopted, and unless I see a reversal of that trend, which has been occurring for almost an entire decade now, ain't no damn price swing gonna scare me. That's for sure. But before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, at the time I'm recording this, crypto market's a little bit of green here, nothing dramatic. It's still essentially a bunch of sideways chop that we've been experiencing for some time, but XRP's at 63 cents. Bitcoin at $38,693, though it did peak over $39,000 earlier today, so that was good to see. Don't mind that. Market cap for the asset class 1.8 trillion, and Bitcoin dominance at 40.51%. And here is the Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 28 out of 100, indicating that market participants are no longer in extreme fear, they're just in regular old fear. Because reasons. It is what it is, folks. We're all adults. We're all living our own lives. We can emotionally respond to stuff that isn't scary. Okay, we've got that right. I ain't gonna do it, though. Now, take a look at this. I wanted to share this real quick before getting into the main article I wanted to cover. This is a tweet from Plan B, who is probably, arguably, the most well-known crypto analyst on the planet. And he's basically just doing like on-chain analysis, though, not typically technical analysis. But anyway, he's got 1.7 million followers on Twitter. That's a crazy 1.7 million followers, and he's most famous for having applied the stock-to-flow model to Bitcoin. Although at this point, specifically, not looking too hot. He's not saying the model's broken, but it's not looking too hot. He tweeted this out: Bitcoin January 2022 close $38,491. Which is 62% below stock-to-flow target and outside one standard deviation band. And he shared this chart, so I'll just make it full screen for a second. You can pause if you want to read the rest of it, just giving you the opportunity there. That's what he shared. So that's not looking too hot, but how does that compare historically to what we'd seen in the past when applying the stock-to-flow model to Bitcoin? Well, he responded. There's an individual named James who wrote to him and said, "Looks like this is the deepest Bitcoin has gone into the lower band, ? Seems bullish." And Plan B responded and wrote, "It was further outside one standard deviation band in 2011, 2013, 2014, and 2017. And so basically what he's saying here is the model's not broken. We've seen this before. And that's why in this tweet up here at the top, here's another one. He wrote, stock to flow 62% off or Bitcoin 62% discount. Yes, inquiring minds want to know. So we'll see. I've been curious because at some point this model is going to break, and even Plan B has stated that, although he doesn't seem to think, if memory serves here, he doesn't seem to think that it's going to break until after this market cycle has completed. For this market cycle, he thinks it's totally valid, so it'll be interesting to see if it breaks prior to when he's expecting it to break. And then there's this from chart analyst Will Clemente, who wrote, Bitcoin is currently the fourth most oversold in its history, according to dormancy flow. Dollar cost averaging more heavily into this area is probably the best approach for the long-term investor. And here's the chart that he shared. And I've shared in recent videos this topic. I just wanted to highlight it again because this is a newer tweet from just yesterday from Will Clemente here. But here you go, Bitcoin, entity-adjusted dormancy flow. We don't normally see this. And what do we know is typically the case when something's oversold. Well, look, I'm not telling you to buy or sell or hold anything. You do whatever you want. It's not financial advice, but historically, when you see these lows, it typically means that is a good buying zone. So what he's talking about historically has proven to be true. So again, you do whatever you want. I don't know your personal situation. It doesn't impact me if you buy or sell or hold. I'm just stating what looks to be obvious facts based on the data that's on your screen right now. It's better to buy when things are low than when things are high. And then he also tweeted this out. Despite the price decline, 76% of Bitcoin supply is currently held by strong hands, a multi-year high. Awesome. So this is, I'm going to keep highlighting this stuff as the data becomes available. This is not the behavior that we saw several years ago when the Bitcoin bubble popped after hitting $20,000, and then 2018 you saw it slide down from $20,000 down to about $3,200 almost an entire year later. Well, you weren't seeing this type of behavior, though. That's why I'm super curious to see how 2022 unfolds. Nobody knows for sure, but we gonks to find out together. All right, now into the main course here. I'm going to run through this article, and then I'm going to share with you the specific XRP metrics. There's two in particular that I want to highlight after running through this, but in a general sense, I think Anthony Scaramucci's like pretty well hit the nail on the head here. So again, this piece is titled, "Here's how long it will take for Bitcoin to reach $500,000, according to Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci." And so look, there's another number that may sound pie in the sky to some people. I don't know for sure if it's going to hit it, but I'll tell you what, go back a decade ago, if you said that Bitcoin is going to hit almost $70,000, they would have sent you to the loony bin. Like they would like the magic internet money that somebody's going to pay $70,000 for one of those. Yes, when it's like a penny, at the time. So that's why I'm saying it seems impossible until inevitably it happens. And so if adoption continues to unfold, more money goes in, price go up relative to United States dollar. This is the general plan here. And so you can have your emotions and your impatience, but it's not going to serve you well. So take a look at this article. Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci is optimistic that Bitcoin will ultimately be worth $500,000 despite its recent downtrend. In a new interview with Kitco News, Scaramucci says he cannot pinpoint the exact reason for the sell-off, but says Bitcoin is closely following the performance of some stocks listed in the NASDAQ, and here's a quote. "Honestly, I don't know the reason for the sell-off. It's probably a myriad of factors, but I think the most interesting thing is that Bitcoin is now very tightly correlated with the higher growth, higher risk NASDAQ stocks." Let me just pause. I'll even state outside of that. Fair enough point if you're talking about specifics, higher risk, higher growth NASDAQ. Okay, fine. But just in a general sense, it's provably the case, and so I'm agreeing with him here. I'm just adding an additional piece of info here. It's provably the case that equities do move historically in tandem with Bitcoin and the broader crypto asset class. And in particular for the most volatile moves with in equities, that triggers movements in Bitcoin. So it's not that Bitcoin can't have crazy bursts to the upside independent of moves within the stock market. But what I'm saying is when there are big moves in the stock market, Bitcoin and the crypto asset class tends to respond on those bigger instances. So it's not that it perfectly correlates down to the second, the minute, the day, the week, so on and so forth. But if you zoom out on a chart, the answer is yes, it does. And then here's another quote from him. "Bitcoin has had at least 50% decline 10 times since 2012. In the last year, we've had two 50% declines. Obviously, the most recent one, but also one in May of 2021. So if you're long Bitcoin, you have to subject yourself to this type of volatility move. I'll just point out that people in Web 1.0, if the same sort of situation happened for Amazon, and if you were wise enough and disciplined enough, ding ding keywords there folks, wise and disciplined enough to hold Amazon, and let that company take full advantage of the network effects associated with it, you did very well. And I think that's going to happen with Bitcoin. I just remind people what Jeff Bezos said at the 20th anniversary of the public offering of Amazon. People said, wow, the stock is so volatile. How were you able to hang in there? And he said, well, I was more focused on users and revenue growth. For Bitcoin, for Bitcoin, since it's a network, you have to be focused on the wallet growth. You hear that? Be focused on the wallet growth and the interaction among the people in the network. And so I ultimately think Bitcoin will be worth $500,000. It'll probably take 4 to 5 years. The ride will be rocky, but certainly worth it. So look, and the concept to me rings true. I do believe that to be accurate. And I'm going to show you how that relates to XRP specifically. But again, he's basically citing network activity and wallet growth, meaning new people jumping on board, more addresses. That's what more addresses on the Bitcoin blockchain. This is true of any cryptocurrency that's going to have long-term viability. That's why I'm looking at this almost a decade's worth of data with XRP. There's no reasonable position. If you're just looking at that data, if we're specifically talking about this, there's no reasonable position. If anybody holds a position that things not looking good for XRP, you're just wrong on the facts at that point. If in terms of actual adoption and usage, it's just not true. So I'm going to read the last part of this article, and I'm going to share with you the specifics on that. But anyway, Scaramucci says that the adoption curve in crypto has something to do with the anticipated surge in Bitcoin's value 4 to 5 years from now. And here's a final quote. There's a lot of research on that, and people say, how can you value Bitcoin? Fundamentally, you can value Bitcoin related to the network. Remember what Robert Metcalfe, the MIT professor, once said. One fax machine is probably worthless, but 100 million of them is worth something. The network itself is worth something, and people mistake that when they do their fundamental analysis on Bitcoin. Yeah, so you're talking about real people utilize, even if it's just for speculation, you're talking about real world adoption. Even if a big chunk of it is true right now in 2022, a huge chunk of it is speculation. But people want it, okay? People want it. This could not be more crystal clear. And so you take a look at this. This is from XRP Scan. This chart right here at the top of the screen, this is the number of transactions executed. And so I had the chart go back 9 years. So it goes back to February 2nd, 2013 to February 2nd, 2022. Although, as I record, isn't it the 21st or the 1st right now where I live? Yeah, where I live. So in some parts of the world, I guess it's already the 2nd, but it's 9:09 p.m. on February 1st. That's Central Standard Time here at the time I'm recording. So for me, it's actually February 1st still. But the reason I wanted to highlight this is you can see this trending up for almost an entire decade, and people are scared about this. Is real world adoption. Who cares about the short-term volatility? And yes, there are outlier instances. Of course there are. There are always going to be outlier instances. You can look at the last market cycle here where I'm circling right now. You can see transactions got up to, what is this? Transaction count, 4.5 million, November 30th, 2019. And it's like there are some outliers here. And you can see, even here's one actually more recently to the negative, December of 2021. That was just when there was a temporary scaling issue that was fixed. But you can see the trend, despite the volatility, the trend as far as the number of transactions up. And so you go back to the beginning of here. Let's just go back to the very beginning, or close to it. 15 transactions, 39 transactions in a day. Here's another one, February 16th, 2013, 256 transactions executed. And then you go to up here, 4.5 million in a day. And yeah, that's the outlier portion. So, okay, fine. Let's go to where it is now. What's normal now? 1.5 million. So it goes from 9 years ago, 15 transactions in a day to 1.5 million. There's no sign this trend is reversing. Doesn't this mean something to you? Like, this means something to me. I think that this is worth knowing, right? And that's why, for me, I don't know the timing of when speculators will do what they do in terms of resulting in XRP hitting a new all-time high or entering price discovery. But I'm confident it's going to happen. There's no way to know for sure, but that's my bet. We'll see what happens here. Now this chart in the middle of your screen here, this is the number of new accounts activated. And again, you can see the outlier instances like here. This is the last bull run when XRP hit almost $4. And then there's been a lot of new accounts created, especially with what's happened with all the XRP ledger airdrops, so on and so forth. And there's still, this is worth knowing though, there's typically, within the last few weeks, pick your day, it's a little bit different from day to day, but there are typically several thousand new accounts created per day. It could be 4, it could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 7,000 new accounts per day. And then you go back to the beginning of time here, like here, look at this, February 16th, 2013, there were 6 accounts created. 6. Now there's like 4,000 or 5,000 or 7,000, whatever it is, within the last week or two. In one day, that many. Thousands and thousands and thousands. The direction this is going is up, folks. Up and up and up. And so, yes, market cycles are a thing, which means that most of the time you're holding XRP, it does mean that it's trading sideways or down. That's true. But that's just data. So now you can know that information and then decide if it makes sense to get impatient and just decide that you need to put your money somewhere else. And if that's what you want to do, go for it. I'm not telling you it doesn't affect me. For me personally, I know my answer. I'm going to be patient AF because the market moves in tandem. It's continuing to move up. I think Scaramucci is correct in a general sense. I won't be surprised to see Bitcoin one day, even if it's in a different market cycle at $500,000. That won't surprise me in the least. And I think XRP and other cryptos are going to go along for the ride. And eventually, most of the cryptos that don't do anything, I think they go to zero as the asset class matures. But that'll take some time. This is an exciting time to be here. And so the market participants that are in fear right now, because, again, the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, 28 out of 100, these market participants are in fear. That doesn't make logical sense. Okay? I mean, maybe for some, if they're like way overextended, okay, fine. I'll be like, yeah, you've made poor decisions. Okay. But if you just have some money in, and it's if you actually did the right thing and you put in money that you can afford to lose in case we're all wrong about this, it doesn't make sense to be feeling these feelings. It doesn't make logical sense. But humans do feel that. And so that's a known factor. I'm counting on people feeling these things. It fuels the volatility. Basically what I'm saying is I'm counting on humans continuing to behave like humans. Because we've got so much data on how they behave in the stock market for over 100 years and how they behave in crypto for 13 years. It's all the same. It's insane. And it's really amplified in crypto, obviously, because there's a frenzy around the asset class. Markets are way less liquid, so you can get asymmetry relative to other assets in terms of performance. Yeah, all that. I understand that. But I'm counting on humans to continue to act irrationally and ridiculous, but the trend is still up. So what do you think that's going to mean? As long as we continue to see this trend, what do you think that's going to mean? I think that people are going to continue to accumulate life-changing wealth investing in crypto, specifically in XRP. I do believe that. But I'll go ahead and wrap up there. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.